Hello, welcome to the third episode of Charity Cup Chats. Last week we were joined by former shrimper Josh Wright, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Phillips. Mark, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, thanks. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. To start off, I want to talk a bit, obviously, about the coronavirus because you've suffered from it. Can you talk about your experience of it, please?
Yeah, obviously, probably like the government, like the doctors, I didn't really know much about it, apart from I could see the death rate obviously going up and up. So I took it seriously. I was not kind of out and about as usual. And we shut our academy down pretty early on the Monday that the lockdown started. The FA then actually banned all football, and that was that's just a few days before the total lockdown. So I wasn't around anyone. But then over the kind of 10 days later, I really kind of obviously witnessed it firsthand, where I first of all kind of got some headaches, my whole head was kind of a headache in itself, rather than just a little headache. So I kind of made sure I was self-isolating, kept away from people at that point, and it just developed very quickly, really, into a cough a couple of days later, and then a tight chest. I still didn't really think I had it because I saw everyone talking about the temperature, kind of like fevers and things like that, and I generally felt fine. Apart from a banging headache, but it was really when my chest tightened up, which things started kind of getting a bit more serious, and I was struggling to breathe.
Yeah. Was that experience a bit scary for you? Because obviously you're an ex-footballer, you're fit, you're not one of what they'd regard as a high risk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny that you say high risk and things like that, because now since I've kind of got it, a lot of people come out. I obviously got a football academy for kids aged 3 to 18 years old, and the amount of kids that I know that have had it to various degrees is scary. So
yeah,
I can't, and obviously only being 38 myself and quite fit and healthy, it's opened my eyes up. This could affect anyone. And actually, when I'm pretty fit now and I can go through most things in terms of pain in the body, when I found myself struggling and I had to call the kind of, not 999, I think it was 111. I was starting to panic. It's an understatement.
Yeah. But apart from that, how have you found lockdown?
I think it's like everyone, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger picture behind it. Obviously, there's no money coming in for myself, which presents its own problems. Obviously, it's for people with mental health problems as well. It's tricky. Couldn't see my own kids for a bit. But I think the bigger picture is that we need to be safe, and this is a kind of epidemic. This is happening globally. So really, you can't just kind of pretend it's not happening.
Yeah, definitely. I want to take you back to your youth career. You joined Millwall age 13. Was that the first academy you joined?
Yes. So I was in a quite successful grassroots team called Elms in Catford. We won quite a lot in the Bexley A-Leagues and London and Kent Cups. So we were pretty successful, but our manager was actually I think he was a semi-professional. So he had a little bit of an idea about the game and what was the best route for us all. So actually, there was a lot of teams sniffing around from an early age, but he wouldn't let me, or no, it wasn't me, because we had some really, really good players, some players that were better than me actually in the team. And till 13 years old, and Crystal Palace and Millwall were sniffing around. My dad was a lifelong Millwall fan, which obviously played part of it, but the main part was that there was a realistic pathway to the first team with Millwall, because they had a proven track record of playing kids that developed through the club. So that was probably the main reason.
Yeah, and what was that like? Was it a bit breathtaking, obviously, young age in a professional team setup?
Yeah, it was weird because obviously I've been taken away from playing football. When I played for the love of the game, I just played because I literally loved the game, and I saw it with my friends almost. When we would then go to play against other teams, it was almost like me and my mates against the world kind of thing. So it was a bit weird not to be with my teammates, with the guys and my manager. Probably a big part of why I played football. I remember going down to the training ground, being very nervous, very daunting. There was a lot of people there, and almost feeling overwhelmed with it, but I kept on going. I can't remember back then, but I don't know why I kept on going. But obviously, I was hungry to prove people that show them what I could do. And over a period of time, it develops that I wasn't even signed at that point. I was just going to training, and next thing you know, I was being taken out of school. and playing with the under-18s at 15 years old. I still didn't have a clue what that meant. I honestly thought it was a good honour, and I didn't think how well I was doing or anything like that. I was just playing football because I loved it. So then that progressed to going full time in the youth team, which was another great kind of milestone. That was one of the goals I wanted to obviously go into full time football. I realised I could do it, and then obviously from then the goals I just adjusted them the whole time, and the next one was my professional contract.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, the coaches at Millwall tried to turn you into a striker at one point.
Yeah, that was when I was a little bit older. So yeah, actually, no, I wasn't. I was under 18s at that point. Yeah, we had a bit of a crisis with injuries, as you do in football at every level, and because I was quite technical with my feet, and I was a bit of quite a big lump, a taller stature. They like that at Millwall. They liked a big, strong top front man. I gave it a go, and it worked effectively well because I knew what I didn't like against me when I was playing. So I kind of basically just did that. Made sure I mixed up my game, ran the channels sometimes, come short, really mixed it up to keep them guessing. And then if I got a chance, I had a pretty good strike, so I'd go for it. And I think I scored 3 and 3 in the youth team, and they were all kind of like, and it's going to sound ridiculous because blowing your own trumpet, but they were all worldies, which for me is unheard of, like kind of like 25-yarders, which I think maybe God was watching over me on them days because I'm not known for that kind of skills.
Made the most of it, I'm sure. So in your first team, your career was unfortunately plagued by injuries. You suffered 2 cruciate knee ligament ruptures, a broken ankle, and a few other injuries. Was there ever a point where you felt like giving up?
There's some real tough times. I'm not going to lie. At Millwall, in the youth team, I was fine. I remember just having an ankle problem, which was pretty common with footballers. But as I kind of went into the professional years, it was never that it was too hard for me. I used to love it, and I used to relish the games. And I played the majority of my games when I was younger at the club. And the injuries, they were just a common theme, really. However much time I spent in the gym with the physios and the team, I'd always be doing the right things because I knew my body couldn't. The way it was panning out, I had to do extra to kind of keep myself going, and I wasn't going to let myself down because my kind of goal for me was the Premier League. I had a real confidence in myself that I could do it. When I played in the Championship, which I made my debut in, it again, not being arrogant at all, but I was very confident in myself, and it wasn't like I was below the standard. I felt this is I feel at home here. And a lot of the older pros kind of said that to me as well, that like played with surprising maturity for such young kids. So it was something I set my sights on, but definitely the injuries. I was quite fast as well when I was young. Obviously, you slow down as you get older, but I was very fast, and then hamstrings were a major issue. I'd play 3 or 4 games in the first team, then kind of not fully kind of rip a hamstring, but I'd get a small tear, and then come back. Usually take about a month to come back. I'd come back, be put straight into the team because obviously my potential that I showed, and it happened again. That was kind of on and off for kind of like 18 months. So it was a real frustrating time, and any professional will tell you when you're desperate to play, all you want to do is prove to people what a good player you are, show the world about your skills, and obviously play in front of the Millwall crowd as well, which is a really nice thing with the raw they make. So it was disappointing. It's hard to kind of take that knock back just when you feel you're getting something, and then kind of build yourself up, go through the same routine of watching everyone play, you missing out, the actual initial pain of the injury, and then kind of rehabbing it. Then you've got to get your fitness back, and then you've got to get your match fitness and sharpness. So it was a kind of common theme throughout all of my time at Millwall, where which was really unfortunate. But now I'm a little bit older. I look back, obviously, it's disappointment, but that's the body that I was given. And that's part of it, really. I did everything I could. I wasn't out doing things I shouldn't have done. I led life like a professional. So it is what it is, you know.
Definitely. And what was it like playing at the Den? Because obviously I've been as an away fan. It's a unique atmosphere. What was that like? Did it spur you on when you played?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously in the Championship, we were just pretty much sellout crowds at each week. We were playing against huge clubs. Obviously West Ham stands out to me most. I was fortunate enough to play in 3 of them games, and they're called London derbies, but there was that added spice because the 2 clubs have got a massive rivalry. but yeah, we would be going away to the likes of Wolves, Sunderland, all teams like that every weekend. So it was as a youngster, you just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And the Den was a very fearsome place to go for opposition. And it was quite nice for a home player as well, because if you can play in front of a Millwall crowd and do well, it kind of adds to your character and gives you a good kind of stand on as your career goes on, because they don't mince their words or their actions.
Say how it is.
Even if you're a home player, you're not doing too great, they're going to let you know. So, but the qualities they really kind of endear to are that you work hard, you give your all, even when things aren't going well, you're still working for the team, working for the club, and I think that's kind of the qualities that I showed. Definitely.
And whilst at Millwall, you were close to joining Paul Ince at MK Dons, but that ultimately fell down. How close was it to moving?
There was a couple of instances when, again, I was really hungry to play. It was around the time of the FA Cup, and I'd just come back from injury. I actually was going to go on to load Falkirk, and I flew up there, and they had Rangers away and Celtic away the next 2 games. So they flew me up there. I did a day's training with them. I wasn't quite fit. I'd just come back from a little groin niggle, so I wasn't quite fit. And I flew back on meaning to sign. And unfortunately, because of the politics of football, I was needed in the first team. And I missed out on that opportunity. But it was similar with the MK Dons thing. I wasn't quite in favour at that time. We had a new change of manager. And I kind of felt I needed a fresh start as well with the injuries. Yeah. I thought a fresh start would be good, a new kind of bit of scenery. And I went to MK Dons, obviously knew about a brand new stadium which had just been built. Paul Ince as the manager. It really attracted me as a new project and a new challenge for me. So I went there with the view to sign in on loan. And I played a few games for them, done really well. They wanted to sign me. And I came back just to sort the paperwork out. If everyone said to don't train, just look after yourself, Mark. Do the right thing. You're going to sign. It's going to sign on Monday. I think it was a Friday or something like that. But obviously, as a young naive kid, I think the coach Willie Donoghue at the time said, "Do you want to just loosen your legs off, have a little train?" And obviously, being a young kid, I was influenced by the first team manager saying that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I went into the training. The goalie coach threw a ball over my head. A ridiculous throw from the back, went over my head, and as I had to bring it out of the sky to bring it down, I landed and broke my cruciate. 2 days before I was meant to sign for MK Dons. So that was my then second cruciate, which I was then at, which is near impossible doing because it's so strong after the first time. But I managed to do it. So I was out for another 11 months after that. And the MK Dons went on to win the league that year.
Yeah. What goes through your head when that happens? You just think it's never going to work out?
Yes. I think obviously like I touched on, the initial kind of thoughts are the agony of the pain, and obviously a cruciate is a severe, and you know something's not right. So that it's a real blow. Obviously, a positive thinking guy, I try to forget about it. You move on.
Yeah.
But it's a real, you know in your body. That's why you probably see players now in tears when they're doing injury, and it might be a movement that looks like nothing, but they know. You know your body, and it's not a nice injury to have. And you can see it all flashing in front of you that you're going to be out a long time. You're hoping for the best, like you all do, but you know the reality in the back of your mind. So it is really tough, especially on the cusp of moving to a club which I was getting really excited about. And then kind of parts of you think, well, why did I train? Why did I need to train? So the kind of naivety of being influenced by others who are meant to be kind of supporting you and looking after you, it kind of opens your eyes up to another side of the game, which is a selfish side that some people just think of themselves. And actually, you do need to be a bit ruthless in this game and put yourself number one. So there's all these faults, but it was how am I going to come over? I can't do this again, kind of thing. So there were some lows, but I'd already been through it, and because I flew back in 6 months the first time, so to do it a second time was a big blow. I'm not going to lie, it was a big blow.
Yeah. Do you think those setbacks helped you mentally? Like, obviously now you've got your own academy. Do you think that's helped you overcome and become a better person, if you like?
I think it's a real debatable topic. I think it definitely built me to be the person I am today. Then constant injuries, and I'd get knocked down, and I'd have to keep on going. So I
Yeah.
think I took some real positives as I've grown up, with turning negatives into positives. But also, there's another side of it that you're a little bit kind of. I don't know what the word is. You're a little bit kind of skeptical.
Yeah.
So it's definitely definitely kind of made me a stronger person. But also it chips away at you a little bit, because as you get older, it does kind of think, oh, I'll go through what more have I got to kind of do?
Yeah.
But I'll do everything right. I don't go drinking and stuff, other stuff. I do the right things. I do extra training. I go and stretch. I do gym. Oh, you're ticking all the boxes to kind of, things should be going positively, and then these things are happening. So it does chip away at you. I found as I got older, luckily I didn't have as many injuries, and it was kind of like, come on, give me a chance here,
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And because you know what you've got to go through after an injury, you got the whole, like I touched on earlier, it's the injury, then the rehab from the injury, then the strengthening from the injury, then the getting fit, then getting match fit. The whole period can take a lot longer than the kind of spectators can actually see. And obviously that does take its mental toll on you.
Definitely. And on a lighter note, August 2008, you moved to London rivals Brentford. What were your initial thoughts on that club?
My initial thoughts, well, I was buzzing to get a fresh start. It was a new challenge. Obviously, it was a big pull to leave Millwall. I'd been there 13 years, and so, but it was time to kind of have a fresh start. And as soon as I walked in the door, the kind of feel of the club was just right. Everyone was on the same page. Everyone was really friendly, down from obviously the coaching staff, down to the kind of the kit man, to the people that served you food, just everything. It was a real nice family club. And I thought definitely this club's going places.
Yeah, and obviously they did go places. You won the league that year. What was that? Describe that whole season for me.
Yeah, it was a strange one, because the club was in transition. They were always a good club. So I remember playing against them at Millwall, and I don't think we got kind of any results out of Brentford. They were always a very strong team, it was like almost like it snuck up on us that we were a real good tight knit set of boys. The manager had formed us well. We were very organised. No, there was no kind of huge names in there or anything like that. But football's a team sport, so sometimes that's the most strongest way. Obviously, look at Leicester and stuff like that. You've got names like Jamie Vardy, but before they kind of won the Premier League, that people didn't really say too much about them at the highest level. So we were similar. We kind of went under the radar. We were getting the results. We were just churning out kind of wins. I think we got 20, 21, 22 clean sheets that year as a defence. So we had a real solid base. And we just kept on going. And it was really only towards the end of right at the end of the season where we thought, we can do this.
Yeah.
we can do this. And so I think we kind of snuck under the radar, where there were some big clubs in the league spending big money with big pressures on them, and we were just turning them over each week. So yeah, it was a real group effort.
Yeah, and obviously when you was training, was that like it was good? You were looking forward to the weekend each week. Each game was a new opportunity for a clean sheet.
Yeah, 100%. The on the training ground, you get a feel because obviously I come from Millwall. I'd seen training at other clubs. I'd seen training at Millwall, and the standard was very high at training. So we all used to go in. We'd love to go in as a part of a good a lot of people say a good change room. People enjoying their work always leads to success. And we were all a good set of boys. There was no kind of people called bad eggs or things like that. We were all friends. We got on a certain level to everyone, and it was a group mentality that we worked hard every day in there on the pitch, and we took that to the games as well. And when it was tough, I remember night in Accrington away, and not many people want to go there on a Tuesday night when it's frozen, and we nicked some kind of a 1-0 win, and that was them moments really kind of showed that we were together.
Yeah, and then obviously at the end of the season, you was rewarded a new contract. How did you feel when you got that?
I think it was a natural succession. I was one of those kind of the strongest players in a very good squad. We obviously done well. and I just saw now as another chance to with the club the way they were financially before we all joined it. They weren't kind of giving out too much love in terms of lengths of contracts.
Yeah.
So I think at the time I was probably frustrated with a year, but obviously the way I played, and it's exactly what I needed. I had my confidence back. I was believing in myself. I believed in my body. So that was something that I needed to overcome as well. That I could actually play consistently and prove to people that previously maybe thought that he was just injury prone. So obviously I still have the injuries, but I played a kind of a good amount of games that year. And was looking forward to the challenge of League One, because I'd already played in League One and the Championship with Millwall. So I knew that's probably where I was looking to take the club and use my expertise to take them to.
Yep. And then obviously after your second year at Brentford, you got given at the end of the season a trial with Southend. It was well documented our financial troubles in 2010. What was your thoughts on the club? Did the finances put you off at all?
Well, it was a funny one actually, because I actually went to sign. So I turned up to sign with no trials or anything like that. Obviously, it's documented after I went on trial, but I didn't. So I turned up to sign under Steve Tilson. Walked into his office while he was kind of walking out. So he'd literally got relieved of his duties that morning. So I kind of walked in, not knowing what was gone. He said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but I've just received the call myself." So I kind of walked out of the training ground, not knowing what was going on. Paul Sturrock was kind of put in charge very, very soon, and I was actually on the verge. I had Wycombe Wanderers interested as well, so I was going to go. I went and trained with Wycombe, with a view to sign with them. Paul Sturrock got me in. We had a chat, and he was like, "Look, I've heard obviously your stats speak for you. You've won the league. You got kind of player of the season, this and that and the other, and I really like the look of you. But the problem is that obviously where I've been normally Southern based or Northern based, he didn't know who I was. He just so he said, look, I can't sign someone off the back of not know who you are. So could I see you in some games? And at that point, I just won the league and stuff like that, and I was kind of I believed in my own confidence. I said, look, I'm not doing a trial. Like, no, I'm not playing the games. I could get injured. What happened to MK Dons could happen. Anything could happen. And that was that. So I went to Wycombe to sign there. I didn't get the feel at Wycombe. I just didn't get that feel. I think I was a bit disappointed that the Southend thing didn't happen. So I called Paul and I was honest with him. Luckily, I was honest with him and said, look, Paul, I explained that I'm not being big time at all, but I need to go to a club that want me rather than actually doing trials. Because it's a big year for me. And so Paul respected that. We spoke like two men, and I went to Wycombe. Then at Wycombe, I just wasn't quite enjoying it. I didn't get on with the way that their training was, the way they kind of it was a little bit too old school for me, and so I then ended up giving Paul a call, and him inviting me back, and we said, look, I understand. What can you just please play in a little behind the closed door game which he put together? And I said, look, I'll do that, but I want to answer by the end of the game. And he signed me instantly. So that was it, and the rest is history.
Yeah. What was Paul Sturrock like firstly as a man and then as a manager?
He was unique. He is unique. As a man, very honest. I can see why he was at one point the most successful manager in the game. He just knew his football, and obviously his illness was affecting him quite a bit, to be honest, at a point. But he was a great guy. He knew football in and out.
Yeah.
You knew where you stood. And yeah, his records speak for himself.
Definitely. And then obviously in the first season, it didn't go too well. It was plagued by injuries. You was given a 2-year contract though. Did you feel like your second year you was kind of playing for that renewal and felt like you had something to prove?
Not really. I think it's the relief of being back and actually being able to show what you can do. I always knew that I'm confident in myself, and that first year was really frustrating because with the staff and then the medical staff just couldn't get to the bottom of what it was. And there was a lot of games I played in that first year. I think I played in agony when I would try to turn and kick a ball, and my groin literally felt like it was going to rip out. So naturally, we thought it was a groin injury. So I had 2 Gilmore groin operations, which didn't fix a thing. I had injections in my adductors, and then we kind of, as a last desperate measure, we went to a guy over in Repton Park called Ian Cowell, who's kind of a lot of teams, Premiership clubs, get them to look at players when they're struggling themselves. So I went and saw him. We went through kind of a back strengthening. It was all about relaxing your core and doing certain movements in a type of way. So it was really postural correction. But as I was doing it, it's not an overnight fix, and it takes a little bit of time. But I was feeling different. I was feeling something. My body was feeling loose, like it never felt in my whole career. And I don't know whether I'd relaxed, and Ian had taught me how to relax and let the muscles do what they're meant to do, rather than being so rigid and stiff. But I just felt like I could do everything I wanted to do now. And so I think that second year was literally the way that Ben Clarkson and the physio room, because Ben was working alongside Ian, and what them guys allowed me to do, we reaped the rewards the second year. And that's what I led to a record number of goals. My fitness levels were through the roof. And yeah, I got Player of the Year that year as well.
Yeah, like you said, second year was much better. So we'll talk more about him later, but you formed a very strong partnership with Chris Barker, club captain. How was that season? Because we spent a lot of the whole year in the top 3, and then obviously we agonisingly missed out and finished in the playoffs. What was that season like, not just for you, but as a team and as a management and a club?
It was a very, very, again, unique year. We had some great characters. Like Paul used to call us the Riffraff FC and things like that, because everyone had a story. Everyone had a background where they could have been, they were a top player and they weren't for certain reasons or injuries or wherever it may be. We were Riffraff FC, and we loved it, and it really kind of drove us on together. There's such different characters. I think we all had to change our mindset and the way we look at things, just because we were so different, all of us. But it actually kind of made a real diverse change room, and it got massive success as you saw.
Yeah, and obviously we lost to Crewe in the semi-final. What was that like to deal with as a player?
Another really frustrating one. Over the course of the year, like you saw, the points scored. It was a record, wasn't it? A record point scored. Actually, for a playoff team, we would have won. Was it 81 points or something? We would have won the league.
83. We missed out by 1 point.
Yeah, we would. That point score would have got automatic promotion in the last 15 or 20 years or something like that. So that was a bit of a kick in the teeth. But I think for me, and at that point I was so ruthless. It was almost, my mindset was, this was catch up. I'm feeling good now. I want to smash the records in terms of clean sheets. I've got the goals. I just wanted to just take that club to a new level. And it was frustrating, because there's some real key moments I looked at back where individual errors kind of cost us, where there was games we should have easily took 3 points. And I remember one when a corner come in and it was an easily, and the person I'm not going to name and shame him, but a person in the near post, easy header straight on his head. I thought someone said duck, like who would ever say duck at near post? They ducked and it went straight in the goal. So it cost us 2 points. And these are the fine margins you're talking about. There was another game where people were missing own goals, and so there was loads of moments that led to that. But obviously we got to the playoff semi-finals, and we were Crewe away, and they what was his name? He got moved to Manchester United in the end. Nick Powell.
Oh yeah,
is it Nick Powell? Yeah,
plays for Wigan now, doesn't he? I think.
Yeah, very talented boy. Youngster cut. He was on loan. Come from Crewe, and Sir Alex Ferguson was in the crowd that day watching him, and he played well, but we kept him pretty quiet in the first leg. So we even though it was a real tough day, it was a real tough day. If we could get someone out of the away leg, we felt we could take him home and beat him, and just kind of like the kind of league, cup games in the Johnson's Paint, and what happened? So I was just kind of like ushering the ball out as I was running towards my own goal, and the guy tripped me up by purpose. so he kind of obviously kicked my legs away and
Yeah.
twisted it. And as I kind of went down, I twisted and landed, put my full weight on my shoulder, and it was pretty painful. It was very painful. I think we had about 15 minutes left this time, and so I kind of tried to get through, and I just couldn't get through the pain. It was, as you've seen, I played through. So we'll get onto it in a minute. My injuries that I played through, but back at Millwall, I played through a burst of appendicitis as well. Back in my Willie Donahue days, where I knew he didn't like me, and I had to play a 10 out of 10 every week. Well, he didn't like me, but I just wasn't his first choice. And I had to play 10 out of 10 every week and get team of the week every week to actually have a place the next game.
Yeah.
And so there was a game when I played. I knew I was ill, but I didn't know it was appendicitis. And I just got through the pain, and my appendix burst on the pitch, and I had to be rushed to hospital after. As soon as I walked in, I was bent over the whole game, so I can take pain. But so I had to come off. They tried to strap it up. The strapping wasn't doing anything. So we went away. I think it was about a week before the next leg. Obviously, I was desperate to play. Paul was even more desperate, probably than myself, for me to play. But I knew something wasn't right. We had set a plan to kind of have a rest, ice rest it, start running by the kind of 2 days before, and just patch me up and go and play. And it just wasn't happening. I just wasn't right, and I knew in my head I wasn't right. And even how much I wanted to play, I'm thinking, I can't do this. How am I going to put myself out? Because I'm going to let the team out. It's not. I can go out there and play in pain, but the last thing I'm quite a team player, and I didn't want to let the team down.
Yeah.
So we on the day of it was an evening game. So the day of the morning of the game, we went up to Harley Street. Couldn't get to the X-rays. Didn't show anything. So the X-rays in the local hospital that Southend used, the private hospital, didn't show a thing. Just some bone bruise and things like that. And so everyone's thinking he's got like Coco and Paul were quite obviously tough as well. So he's got to play. There's nothing wrong with it. Get him out there, kind of thing. And I'm thinking there's something not right. So Ben took me to Harley Street, and the shoulder specialist saw me, and he said, "Look, something's not quite right here. Can I get my specialist to scan it? Because then that's who I work with." And so we sat there for what seemed like hours. Paul Sturrock was calling Ben over and over, going, "What's he doing? How is he? How is he?" And this about an hour later, now we're really pushing it. We're kind of like 2 hours before kickoff, and we're in Harley Street, and obviously Southend's a little while away. So he gets the scan out. He goes, "Look, you've broken your scapula." So obviously the scapula's quite a big bone, and it wasn't just like a little hairline fracture. It was a big fracture. And he said, "Look, if you risk playing on this, even if you could." He said you could literally split your whole scapula in two, and that's kind of life changing injury now. That surgery might not heal. So it was taken out of my hands. So unfortunately, I had to watch the painful events unfold in front of me, which is probably even a worse way to watch it, because you can't be out there and help your teammates and get the success that you want.
Yeah, and then your third season at the club, the aim was obviously promotion. It didn't go too well for Paul Sturrock. He was sacked after 2 points out of 15. Did you agree with the decision, or did you think if he's given time, you'd be able to turn it around as a team?
It was obviously the cup run. A lot of people say the cup run's kind of changed players' mentality. I personally like to look at myself first and have the mindset that you can only change yourself and what you're doing. So you need to look in the mirror rather than kind of pointing fingers and blaming other people. So I understand why management changes are needed, because sometimes they freshen up and they give people a new focus. They make people get back on their toes because they've now got to impress a new manager. So I get why it happens, but I felt that one was just a little bit too early. I think if you look at the kind of longer term plan, long term picture, he hadn't been there that long, and a short term success to turn a club round from where it was it was barely a club. It was barely in existence. I think to then get a bit of success, get a bit of a bit of a G up was a bit short. It was a little bit short sighted to suddenly make a change so early, especially when the cup run was going so well. It was almost like improving us on the pitch with the league results. So I think sometimes the disappointment of one season's results, or the fact that we got to the playoff semi-final, then kind of makes people make rush decisions. And again, I understand why them decisions are made, but I think as a player and someone that we looked at Paul, he had all of our respects, even though he was very eccentric and had his own way of doing things. We believed in what we were doing, and we believed it was going to be turned around.
Yeah. Do you think we overachieved in that second season?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. Just because obviously the cup run kind of took the, and there was a change in personnel at the end of the season, so that's changed the dynamics in the group. It can take months to kind of gel the squad together. So I couldn't answer that question whether you overachieved or underachieved. I think we just needed to give it time, because if you step back and look at history, from where the club had been to where it was maybe in 1 or 2 seasons, it was definitely going the right way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and then Phil Brown comes in. What were your initial impressions of him? Because he's another character.
Yeah, I think you look and you see he's a big name, and he's kind of been under Allardyce and obviously coached it for Hull and stuff like that. So you look at him, you hope he can bring a bit more quality, he can add something different, and obviously help the club get where it needs to get.
Yeah. So initially, Paul Sturrock was given a chance to lead us at Wembley, but he didn't. We took 30,000 fans there. You was left on the bench by Phil Brown. Was you angry? Because obviously you played a big part of that whole season. It would have been your first time playing at Wembley, and then to get that chance taken away from you. Yeah.
To say I was devastated was an understatement. I think the whole thing was a bit of a shambles, to be honest. The timing, really, because obviously it was a chance for Southend to be at Wembley. We'd had success against Crewe numerous times already, so we knew we could beat them. I think the timing of the sacking that was probably the underlying issue, where obviously Paul knew that squad in and out. He knew who should be playing. He knew would get results on that day on the pitch in such a big who the players would step up to the mark. And obviously, it was a bitter blow for me because Paul again asked me to play. In the first leg away at Leyton Orient, I broke my toe, which was an agonising injury, which I then injected to then play in the home leg, which got us through, and obviously caused myself life-changing. Kind of with my toe, it's an absolute mess now. It doesn't bend or it doesn't do anything. So I've kind of put my body on the line, which was like an added emotional kind of attachment to the whole situation. So I was desperate to play. Obviously, Paul said, "Look, get through this game for me, and we'll get you out to Wembley. We'll get something like that." Again, that's an achievement. If we'd won that year at Wembley, if we'd got a consistent position in the league, that would have been an achievement. Again, we're still building towards that promotion, which the club wanted, the chairman wanted, and we all wanted. So the timing wasn't great. And then kind of the way Phil Brown came in, and obviously I was in the injury room at the time, and he didn't really show me no attention. It was almost like he knew what I'd been through but didn't care. And it was like he was going to come in and use me as the person to show he was the boss, really. Obviously, to my face, he was happy as Larry. But I mark this, mark that, and everything like that. But I always sensed there was an underlying theme to everything he did. So unfortunately, the result came out that day at Wembley, where we were never in the game. Yeah, it was painful for obviously when he broke the news that I wasn't playing on a training pitch. I was nearly in tears. I couldn't believe it because I thought, what is this guy doing? Like he's playing players that not even barely kicked a ball this year, and I played every game. And I was one of the senior figures in the team, which supported and kind of helped the youngsters and galvanised us with the likes of Barry Corr, Chris Barker, Graham Coughlin. It was a real blow. But then I had to obviously stop being kind of selfish, start thinking about the boys and obviously supporting them in whatever capacity I could do, hoping I'd get on the pitch. Hoping I'd get some minutes. I thought this guy's going to give me something. For all I've been through, he's going to give me a little run out at least at kind of like 5 minutes or something like that. But as you saw, I had to watch my teammates grafting, giving everything they could, but the team was set up wrong. the formation was wrong, the personnel was wrong.
Yeah.
We were just never in the game, were we? We were just
No.
never in the game, and for everything with the crowd and the amazing turnout, unbelievable!
Yeah.
What a day!
I think
What
it was
a day
like
for the
3-1 for the Crew fans.
Yeah, what a day! Even after my disappointment, I was looking around, just going, "Wow, this is unbelievable." But yeah, it was just a real. It felt I don't think the kind of bitterness inside me was none of that. It seemed like a massive anticlimax. And I don't know if that was the fans at all. But it was such a big moment, such a big day, which could have been and it should have been.
And obviously, it's still discussed to this day by fans about the team selection. At that time, was there chat amongst the players about, what's he thinking? Or was it, we've got a job to do, ignore the fact that we're not in the team?
I think there was, looking back, some chats, like a lot of people come to me going, "Mark, what's he doing? How are you not playing?"
Yeah.
But also he came, Phil came in, and a lot of players were who were kind of very open and very kind of a real galvanised changing room. When Phil came in, things started to change. People started looking after themselves at number one, and ultimately that then takes a bit of time to kind of get everyone back together and work singing off the same hymn sheet, and ultimately new personnel, because but I get that, because a new manager's always going to want to implement in his own ways.
Yeah. Do you think he done that team as like a point to prove, like, I've been to the top, this is my way or the highway?
I think so. I think that's one way of looking at it, obviously, but you have to pay respect to, because he has been at the top. And that's probably what I was initially hoping when he joined the club, that he was going to bring them qualities of the Premier League, and because this guy knows what he's been around the top of the game for years, and so yeah, I think you do have to have it, even as a manager, certain arrogance and certain confidence in yourself that your way does work, and it has to be your way or no way, and I think definitely the way that now I'm a bit older, the way I kind of see that. And talk to a lot of people about how success is formed. It's a mutual respect and a mutual kind of you're all together, and a real honesty where everyone knows where they stand and where we're going.
Yeah, and then so Phil was about to take charge in his first full season. In pre-season, did he ever have chats with you? You're in my plans, you're not in my plans. Was there any discussion of that sort?
Well, I came. Obviously, that was a bitter blow, but like I always do after the kind of initial, and again, my injuries kind of gave me this mental strength where there's two ways to react. You either sulk and kind of have a moan and go one way, which is ultimately going to damage yourself and lead to nowhere, or you kind of knuckle down, use it as fuel to really make yourself, not make yourself, but work harder and prove people wrong. So that was definitely the way I adopted. I went away that summer. I was in a gym. I was doing everything. I come back fit as a fiddle, like front of the runs, thinking, again, I'm just going to prove him wrong. He came in a little bit too late. He didn't know what I was about. Obviously, he picked the best team that he thought on a day, and I hadn't been playing because I obviously was injured. So I adopted that attitude, and I come in and I really enjoyed it. I was really fit and doing really well.
Yeah, and then halfway through the season, you were sent out on loan to Aldershot. Did you want to leave, or was that an entirely managerial decision?
Yeah, entirely managerial. So again, that I was again, everything was happy and Larry to my face. I was an integral part of the team.
Yeah.
Over time, I could feel myself kind of we'd be having chats and things like that. And next thing I wouldn't be in them conversations, and there's real subtle stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And there was no coincidence that my contract had a few games left, and I was going to get a new contract automatically. Yeah. So I think it was after 25 games I'd get a new year deal or something like that. And so over a period of time, it was really, even though I was playing, it was really, I was made to feel quite uncomfortable and not part of the team, which then started affecting me, my mentality, because pressure was building on me that I'd been really successful. I loved being here, loved playing for the Southend fans, but I was almost being set up for failure. And and it was quite a difficult period. And you can only really sustain quality performance like that, me personally, for a certain period of time. So I was playing well, but I wasn't. It would be coming off the pitch, and there'd be no high five for me. There'd be no well done, Mark, and then be raving about other people. So these little things they kind of drip feed into your mentality and chip away at you. And these kinds of things were going on all day, every day, definitely after every game. And obviously I wasn't now involved and being talked to, even though I was playing in the games. And I noticed a bit of a change in the group as well. Some people started to look after themselves, which wasn't a mentality we'd had for such a long period of time. And so teams with me kind of feeling the pressure more and not really feeling like I had support from my manager, who I feel you look up to, it started chipping away at my performances. So however much I was trying to play my best, it wasn't happening. It usually leads to a failure at the end of this. I've experienced this with a lot of players. And there was one particular day at Oxford away where I didn't have a great game. It was almost like an accumulation of the pressures off the pitch and on the pitch for a long period of time. And I had a couple of players turn on me in the change room quite vocally, which was quite hurtful. Actually, I was pretty upset of it, because obviously I thought they were just doing that for the manager's benefit. It was pretty hurtful when you're frustrated as it is that you're not playing to the best of your ability, and behind the scenes the manager's kind of like trying to set you up for failure to get rid of you, and then playing your teammates and your peers, well actually only one of them it was, has turned on you in quite a horrific way. And I was that kind of downtrodden that I didn't react. Usually you ask most people, you end up with a punch on the nose and I have to beat you up. I was so down in my whole general kind of, obviously looking back now, I was suffering with some mental health issues, which is the point we're going to talk about. But the football mentality is you're strong, you're brave. So I just had to suffer at the time, and then it's a big regret of mine that I didn't react that day. And then ultimately, I was scared that I was going to be used as an excuse if I had reacted that day to get me out of the club. And then the Aldershot thing come about, where I had one game left till I got this new contract. And Phil pulled me in and said, you're doing really, really well, because I was doing well. And then he said, can we just get rid of this clause in your contract? If you play the next 4 games really well, we'll give you a new contract. Let's just get rid of that one, because I just want to make sure you don't play one good game and then get the contract and stop playing. So I clearly saw straight through it, and it was obviously a ploy to me to scrap my own clause and then get rid of me, which was another real kind of dig in the ribs kind of thing, that a guy couldn't say it to my face, and he had to say in such a pathetic, sleazy kind of way. The way he did it was disgusting. I thought he could lie to like a 28, 29-year-old man and say, not just look me in the eye and just be honest and say, look, Mark, you're not in my plans, because I'd respect you a lot more if you said that. But he basically gave me no choice, and that was, I think that was 10 hours before the transfer window closed. So I had no chance to get any clubs. And the only 2 options after such a success, if I had a week, I could have got a decent club, because I'd had a really good year, 2 years.
At least that you deserved.
So I had about 7 hours for my agent to do some miracles, and conjured up Yeovil, who are pretty far away from where I live.
Middle of nowhere, isn't it?
Yeah, and then Andy Scott, who was my old Brentford manager, was at Aldershot fighting a relegation battle, and they had 7 games left, and they were certain relegation favourites. So I picked. I thought I quite like that. That's a challenge. I know Andy. I know where I stand, and we managed to survive with 1 game to go. I think I scored about 3 goals, got 2 player of the months, and again totally forgot about my kind of time and how I've treated the other club, and it was like another fresh start. And I love that time, and I'm really, really pleased I went there and helped them stay up.
Do you think the reason you played so well was because obviously you'd have to change release? You wasn't in that mentality where you felt like the manager was against you and you could just be yourself again?
Yeah, mate, I wouldn't tell you how simple football is for players. You've got to remember, us players, we play football because we love it. We love it. It's fun at the end of the day. So if you can create an environment that we're enjoying and love it, and we understand that we might not be in your pictures, we might not be fancied, we might not be performing, but just be honest. Just kind of create an environment that's honest. You set the standards, you know what's expected, and then you have a chat man to man when you're not quite there. And ultimately, some of these players have been bought for millions. So if they're not performing, there's a reason. So surely you've got the man management skills to get to the bottom of that and not waste the club's money. So yeah, no, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, and obviously you're not the only person that Brown's done that to, because I was listening to a podcast with Adam Barrett and he treated him the same way in his second spell. Do you think that's more a case of the person or is just managerial style?
I couldn't comment because obviously I've only worked with him briefly. Obviously Adam's a friend of mine. He's obviously, as you guys know, he's an unbelievable guy. Yeah, unbelievable, honest to the days long. And so if Adam said something, that's the facts. And Adam talked to me at the time, and some of the stories are, again, horrific. Kind of what went on. Just 1 minute trying to be your friend and get you on side. So it just wasn't ideal. But I think it might be a managerial style. But I also think there's something with the younger players. So obviously older players, you can't kind of. I think there's kind of saying that they're not as coachable as youngsters. Which I believe to a certain extent, but I don't, because if you get them on your side, they run through brick walls still for you, because even though they might be a bit slower, they're still quite very clued up, got a lot of experience which can be passed on to them younger players.
Definitely.
So if used in the right way, it might not be that they play every week, but can definitely be used to kind of bring success to the club. So I'm not too sure. I think that some managers like the young players, that they can form into what they want and put their kind of stamp on them and almost not control them, but turn them into something that they will breed in success. But yeah, there's different thinkings. I think each of these topics we can talk for days on.
Definitely. So after your spell at Aldershot, you returned to the club, but you ended up joining AFC Wimbledon. What was that club like? Obviously, close to joining MK Dons, who was Fierce Rifles. Was it a complete polar opposite to Southend?
It wasn't. I played with Neil Ardley at Millwall. So I went again off the back of my kind of successful 2 years at Southend, and then obviously helping Aldershot. I was seen as a good pick to take on, and obviously I was raring to go. I'd obviously desperate with the end of the Southend and then Aldershot, so I was really hungry to kick on and take that energy that I got from Aldershot and that enjoyment and love of football game into the next season, and then just prolong it over helping AFC Wimbledon, who were obviously a great club and on the up, flying up the leagues. So it was nice to be with Neil, and then, so I'd done loads of behind the scenes work on my fitness and strength to get me ready for it. I started a couple of games in pre-season, felt really fit, was flying, and then strangely I think it was through some stuff going off the field at the time with stress, and I still don't know what it was down to. I got an abscess in right under my hamstring, between my kind of bum and hamstring, a real lump, and I don't know what it was from, and I had to get it cut out. So, and then you have to get it packed over. I think it was a period of a month where they open it up, put a pack inside it, take it out, and so that kind of like was really frustrating. And obviously, where it was right on the kind of top of my hamstring, I couldn't do much movement, so I couldn't even kind of do any like proper fitness work. I couldn't swim, couldn't do the bike, couldn't do all the things that footballers usually do to try to stay fit when they're injured. So unfortunately, if anyone will tell you, pre-season is so important. So important. It sets you up for the whole season. You need that. You need that in your legs. You need them minutes to build yourself up safely in a game like 45, 60, 75, 90, whatever it is. And I missed it all. I missed after doing the first 2 weeks of pre-season and flying. I then missed the next 4 weeks, and then had to almost start pre-season by myself, which was obviously another kick in the teeth, watching everyone doing well, and the team were doing really well, real great set of lads. But then you've got the kind of side of it where, again, you feel not part of it. You missed that bonding. We're all a whole new team, and obviously that being on that pitch and that team spirit brings you together as a group of lads as well. And I was on the outside missing it because I wasn't in there all day because I couldn't do anything. Yeah. So there was days where I'd come in, do like an hour with the physio, and that was it, because I literally couldn't do anything. So I kind of missed that pre-season, but also missed that kind of going to war kind of vibe with the squad and everything like that. So it was a tough start. Then I had to do my pre-season, so I literally played the whole season catch up. Had a chat with Neil Ardley. He thought, Andy Scott wanted me back again just because they didn't really have a reserve team as well at AFC Wimbledon. So it was either like the 18s, 23s, and then first team at the time. I don't know what they do now, but so I didn't have no opportunities to get games either. So we thought we'd go out on loan to back to Aldershot. I played some games, did really well, but then because I hadn't had the pre-season, I tore my thigh. So the season was a real frustrating time for me. That it was kind of stop start. Unfortunately, because at AFC Wimbledon, I know Neil was disappointed, not as half as disappointed as I was, because he knew what the impact I could make and bring to the squad. But yeah, great club. It's just a shame I couldn't do much there.
Yeah, and then you spent, I think it was 5 or 6 years in non-league before retiring. How did you deal with retirement? Did you miss the buzz of football? Did you miss the atmosphere, the day-to-day training?
Yeah, I had some good kind of. I went to Braintree after the AFC Wimbledon and with the Cowleys, and we had a great year. Again, we fell in love with football to a new level. Really made it great working atmosphere. Played to my strengths as well, so that I'd be there desperate to train for the full session. They come over and say, "No, Mark, you're done. Hour, that's you done." So they really understood, and it was even though I was desperate, no, I'm fine. There's no surprise I got Player of the Year, and for the lowest budget club in the country, well, not in the country, but at that level. Yeah. We narrowly missed out on playoff to Division 2, which I actually told the chairman I'm going to drag into kicking and screaming because he was desperate for not getting promotion. But yeah, no. So I love that, and then we went to Ebbsfleet and got promotion to National League with from the National League South, and then at that point, I was realising kind of obviously the finances is kicking in as well, and I've got 4 kids. I need to, and the money's now coming down, so you're kind of weighing up. I've got a real passion for coaching by now. I've got my football academy, which I'm sure we'll come on to, and even when in my playing days, I'd have a real buzz about helping them youngsters in the squad and watching them do well and trying to guide them with my knowledge. And obviously, like you said, I've got every type of knowledge, from the negative to how to do it right, how not to do it. So I've kind of got abundance now I want to pass on, and that I was really passionate about that. So I was kind of looking at the point, well, look, the academy is going really, really well. We're helping a lot of kids start their journey into the professional game, and also just helping kids develop their confidence and love the game of football, whatever standard they play. So it kind of got to the point where I was spending. But really, I thought I'd do one more year. An ex-teammate of mine, Gary Alexander, said, "Come and play down at Greenwich with him," which I thought, well, we're doing it properly, we're running it professionally, which they were, and they would have got promotion had the money not been pulled. But I played that season, and I'd already made my mind up that was going to be my last one. Because, like I said, whatever level you play, there's a big commitment. It takes a lot of time. It's not just that day or that night of training or the game. And my passion was really about now passing my knowledge on.
Yep. So like sorry.
Back to your point, it's tough. It's tough at first. You kind of you don't really miss it, but very soon, in a month or 2 months, I thought by stopping, all the aches and pains would stop in my body. You realise they magnify and they actually get worse, and you need to keep on moving. Just to feel normal. So yeah, I really miss the camaraderie, and I love going to games because you're looking down the bench and obviously being around professional contacts and being around clubs that I'm still involved, and I'm still going to get back involved in the game at some point.
Definitely. So, like you said, you set up your academy. What's that like? Obviously, running, spearheading it. Is it? I imagine it's quite rewarding seeing the children develop from young boys into men.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the main thing, the rewarding, and that you're kind of dedicating your experience to these guys. And then at first, it's a coaching skill you've got to learn to change your mindset, because the professional game is a very ruthless, results-driven business, and so I was putting all this energy into these kids, like thinking, come on, be your best, like have the professional mindset. So I had to kind of step back and adjust it a little bit, shall we say, that you can't push too much, but you have to encourage and drip feed what you know in the right way to again create that fun environment for them to thrive in, really. But yeah, no, it's not going to be it's not going to make me a millionaire, but for lack of money, the reward is massive, and I've loved now since I started kind of the football game. I'm now seeing kind of kids who I've coached in England under the 16 set up, numerous kids going to professional clubs. But like I said, I get just as much of a buzz about the mum and dad who's come to me and said, "Oh, my kid loves football, but he's really lacking in confidence and doesn't want to get involved in a group." And I love kind of giving them the confidence and skills that they need to then go and thrive themselves.
Yeah, and you're based locally, aren't you?
We're in Bromley and Beckenham. So Bromley, Beckenham, Auckland and Croydon, that kind of way.
Yeah.
With numerous sessions over the week. We do a lot of one-to-one sessions, obviously online at the moment through the lockdown. But yeah, we're based in a couple of schools. But yeah, I love it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'll leave some links in the description because I know a lot of young footballers watch this and it's probably something they'd be interested in. I want to talk now about Chris Barker. He played with you as club captain under Southend. Tragically took his own life on New Year's Day. When did you hear about that and what were your initial thoughts about it? What goes through your head?
Yeah. No, that was crazy. It's crazy, yeah. It's pretty hard to talk about as well, to be honest. Just didn't believe it. It came from someone who literally that day I found out come through someone that wouldn't lie, wouldn't joke about them kind of things. So you don't want to believe it. You're like, nah, Barks wouldn't do that. No chance. Like talking rubbish. Yeah. But you also know the person he's come from is a very close friend of the family and known him years. So you know it's not a lie. And you're torn between the two things, thinking, is this real? And you kind of go into a bubble, thinking, no, it can't be real. And then you get thrown back to all them great memories with him. Such a great guy, just getting unbelievably honest, tough northerner. Like you're thinking like mental health. I think a lot of people think it's kind of like a kind of thing like you're crazy. That mental health is such a broad spectrum of things. It might be that you're struggling right now. That's your mental health. Yeah. And it's just the same as your body, your physical health. It's exactly the same. That you might be able to just manage a jog or something. I can sprint. It's the same thing with mental health. There's so many different facets of it that it's just you can't comprehend. And he was such a tough guy. Like whatever day it was, he'd be in a shorts and t-shirt. Yeah. And he's such an old school guy that mental health I don't think would even recognise on his radar in his psyche, because he would just, he's one of them guys that you throw anything at him, he'd deal with it. So we weren't speaking. I know Reece is a good friend of his, obviously the keeper at Southend. Yeah. So he was in regular contact with him, and we'd speak occasionally and drop the odd text and stuff like that. But it just seemed like he was doing well at Forest Green. Obviously, there's an under 18s coach there, so it all looks like he's going to the right place. And made like his daughter, he adored his daughter. He used to talk about her all the time. So you just don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and how people deal with stuff. So it's just a total shock, and it kind of brought to front of mind that the reality of things and how was he struggling? How could things get to that situation where he Barks, which at a funeral you speak to everyone, it's like Barks wouldn't do that. Wouldn't do that, and you kind of got this false mentality that, I don't know, it's totally wrong for me to say, but you almost kid yourself into thinking, oh, only weak people would do something like that, or people like that. And you think like Barks is the opposite of that. It just shows it's not at all about weakness or strength or anything like that can affect us all. Yeah,
and obviously, like you said, it's not a weakness, and it's something that people are starting to talk about more and more often, which is a good thing. Has it changed your outlook on life recently?
I've like, on the kind of mental health issues, since the retirement, I've gone through quite some difficult times myself. So it's definitely something that's been in the last couple of years more on my mind, that actually mental health is different and it affects people in different ways. I lost my dad obviously that affected my mental health and obviously the end of my career. You go from doing something you do every day of life, you're in that group environment, you set yourself goals, so suddenly you've got no goals. You've got no job or place to go every day. So all these things affect your mental health as a footballer, and that's why I'm really glad that it's not being seen as a weakness or a taboo subject anymore, and it's more prevalent in football more than ever now, especially through this coronavirus, because the mental health of obviously ex-sportsmen, ex-sportswomen is very prevalent, and I think it's now that only that people that can talk that things are coming out. And it's not something new. It's been around for years. And affected, and it's just that it wasn't allowed, or you weren't perceived in the right way if you talked about it. So I've got no problems at all talking about it, because I've been through my own struggles, and obviously Chris's situation just magnifies it, and it almost, I think it's not, there's hardly any positives to come out of it. If there's any positives, we need to look at Chris and say that talk to people, because I know Chris would have been a strong man. He probably wouldn't have shared how he's feeling to other people, but actually I found with my struggles, the more people I talked to, the more it helped me. Actually, it showed other people that I was a human, and actually I do go through struggles like a lot of people, and they were able to open up to me, and we were able to help each other. And there's people out there that want to help. If you knew there was someone struggling, you'd step up to the plate. But I think it's quite tough for someone who's struggling to actually reach out and let someone know that them first really brave steps to actually say, look, I'm struggling here. I need some help. And I think that's a real good message that can come out of Chris's situation, that talk if you're struggling, talk.
Yeah, and I've experienced that firsthand, because last year when we done the charity match, we done it for Mind and Samaritans, and people would message me or talk to me like mates who I'd never know that there would have been a problem there, and they're saying, thanks for doing this, because I've had my own experiences, and it has made me more aware as a person. I think it's 1 in 4 of us go through something each year, so like you said, it is something that needs to be talked about, and it's good that it's finally getting the recognition it is.
100%. Yeah, no, totally agree. I think, like you said, even on your level as well, if you're putting yourself out there on social media or any kind of platforms, and just being honest, at the end of the day, that's all it is. You're just being honest. You're not scared to kind of be judged falsely, and it's actually doing positive things. So great work you're doing with your charity and your football games.
Cheers, I appreciate that. Do you think when you was obviously going through your career that players were too scared to talk about it, as they didn't want to be seen as weak? Because I know Danny Rose, when he's done interviews, he said that he didn't like talking about it.
Yeah, I think the mentality of the game, especially through my kind of my generation of my career, I've noticed a massive difference when I first kind of started old Millwall mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's around the change rooms now, but actually I know that there was a story that came out of Neil Harris where one of the young players was struggling. Some things happened with the family, and Neil was very supportive of it. It came out in the press, and it actually, when Neil left Mills go Cardiff, that player came out openly and said how much Neil had helped him behind the scenes. So that was really pleasing to know that. Obviously, I know Neil, so I know there'd be nothing less, because it's another legend, another great guy. But definitely in my younger years, that them kind of things, like, I'm not too sure many players would go to a manager and tell them they're struggling, because that would then be a sign of weakness, which ultimately, possibly, you don't know, but possibly could make them get out of the starting lineup that weekend because their mind's not right. So I definitely believe the game's changing for the right way, because ultimately managers and coaches now want to get the best out of players and support them. So I'm really pleased with some of the steps the game's taking.
Yeah. Do you think, I know you touched on it a bit earlier, do you think your experience at Southend, when obviously you did feel like everyone was against you, do you think that impacted you quite a bit? Because obviously you're going to work to do the thing you love, and then you feel like you're not being able to do that.
I think back then, when I was in the game, you're in the bubble, you're just doing everything you can to perform. Yeah. I don't think I recognised it. Because, like, it's only now that it's only when you get to a certain point you recognise you're struggling. So obviously I was struggling. I was finding football's a pressurised sport. I'm not putting it down at all. It has to be to get the best out of people. But I think there's also the right pressure and the wrong pressure, and there can be that very fine line where it tips you over the edge from support to actually not being right. And I think there's obviously back in the day in the game, there's a lot of things that went on that wasn't right nowadays, where the game's changed. But definitely it did impact me. I didn't know at the time, and it's only that I'm now older that I recognise that that wasn't a great point. I was pretty low because you speak to any football, if they have a bad game at the weekend, they don't need 20,000 people to tell them. They don't need their manager or coach to tell them. They're the ones who will be their biggest critique. Yeah, we're the ones who are most frustrated with ourselves that we didn't perform. So we are our worst enemies and our biggest critics. And you find a lot of time we're very slow to actually reward ourselves and pat ourselves in the back when we do well, which we need to do more of. But I think at that time, that period, it did get me down. Obviously, you had a bad game anyway. You're not going to be the best person to hang around with. Definitely with your kids and their family, it does affect you because you've got such an attachment. That's why you do the sport, because you want to achieve and do well. So I was never a great person to be around when I didn't play well or lost, definitely. But yeah, definitely that would have been a contributing factor to some struggles in the bigger picture of my life rather than just training and games.
Do you think it's a case of, as a player, never getting too high and never getting too low, just like as hard as it is to try and keep a level head?
Well, that's one of the underlying factors to performance, really.
Yeah.
Most managers will tell you they take a 7.5 out of 10 all day over a 9 and then a 5, etc., etc. So I learned pretty early on that consistency has to be right. And when you're too high, like probably like most things in life, if you're too high and too above yourself, you're going to end up having a big fall and a crash. If you're too down with yourself again, you're going to struggle to get back up. And so you need a real kind of professional, I call it professional mindset, where you're just level-headed the whole time. When you win, great, but don't get too above it because you've got another game next week or another game in 2 days' time.
It can change like that, can't it?
Yeah. So if you're going to do that, you're going to be so up and down, and so it's not conducive with performance game and actually performing on a longer term scale. Because a season, to be a champion or win a league, you need to be consistent over a very long period of time with a hell of a lot of challenges thrown at you along the way.
Do you think your experience would help you if you were to go into management? Is that something you'd be looking to do? Yeah,
definitely. I'm really passionate about coaching. Some people say, how can you coach kind of kids and stuff like that? But I just think it helps me really. That I'm kind of testing my skills as well with my patience and also the way I get things across to people and kind of the analogies I make or that I can get on their level. So it's testing my skills so that then when I want to go into the professional game and an opportunity arises, I'm ready to take it, because I definitely feel that I was never kind of just a footballer, always quite a deep thinker, always thought about what I was doing. So if I can kind of use my experiences and take that onto the professional game, I know how most coaches will say they take bits from all different coaches and then kind of do it their way. But I'm no different. I know what kind of gets performance. And actually, I'm doing some interviews. Don't know if you've seen now in the kind of Corona period and lockdown. I've been getting some ex-teammates and lots of professionals on a live chat. Again, my aim is to try to give the kids some quality, see if they can just take a little seed out of the interview into that professional mindset and what it does take, whether they want to be a pro or not. Just take something that might help them identify what they want to do in life and they're passionate about. So I've been doing that because I feel there's a common theme. There's a common theme in most footballers, whatever level you talk to. We've had Premiership footballers on. I've got some managers and coaches coming up, and it's all very similar mindsets, totally different backgrounds, totally different walks of life, very diverse as well. There's a common theme.
Do you think coaching has helped your mental health yourself because you found something you love?
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to go into it too deep, but when particularly when my dad passed, I was obviously at the end of my career, had to go through a divorce as well, which was very tough times, and used to put a smile back on my face when I go and coach them kids. You'd see like them just there, willing, hungry to work. And you'd almost recognise that in myself, and would want to help them. That's why I'm quite passionate with this online stuff now, to reach as many people as possible, because it's like why coach just some kids, not some kids, but my kids are in my area and my session on a particular day when I can actually reach out to a lot more people and help help guide them or help give them some little bit of influence, really. And I think that's a good thing, because when you ask any player when they're struggling, you're on that football pitch, your mind's on that football. It's like every problem in the world has disappeared.
Yeah,
obviously, footballers are normal people. They're normal people. They go through their own struggles as well.
Yeah, I know, and it's the same for us fans. When I talk to my mates, when we're going on a 6-hour round trip, we're second bottom of the league, we're getting thumped every week, but still, your only problem is, do we win? You forget about everything else, and I suppose that's one of the main things why we all love football.
So it's just such a great game. Now that I've stopped it. Before, it was just all about me being the best, perfecting skills, getting accolades, winning leagues and stuff like that. But it just now step back from it. It's just such a great game in so many ways. It brings so many walks of life together, and we can all chat for days, weeks, months about football, can't we? And everyone's got a different opinion, and that's why it's great.
Yeah, obviously, just finally got touching. Officially, it's all about results and winning leagues, but it's not really, is it? It's about the moments, the people you meet, the days that we live for. Yeah,
definitely. I think obviously the professional game is about results, but the professional games are a very small part of the game. Obviously, it's the one that everyone looks to, but actually there's so many different filters down to in the park with your dad, in the park with your mates. A Sunday league game, it might be a kids game, wherever it may be. Yeah, it's just such a great game.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, on a lighter note, you've been lucky enough to have a long career. You've played with some great players. I'm going to ask you for your.
I just remembered I've not prepared this. This last time I'm going to have to wing this now. The penny just dropped on me.
So it's your favourite 11, a maximum of 4 per team. But I'm sure we can fit more than 4 per team.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, so in goal, Wojciech Szczesny. I think he's at Juventus now. Right back, Glenn Johnson. Retired. Centre back, that's a tough one. Played with so many good ones. Played with John Egan at Southend. Actually, he was with us at Sheffield United now. He was pretty good. I'm going to go John Egan, just because we're going to drop some high-profile names. With Chris Barker, of course.
Yep.
And then Chris Barker could go left back, so you don't know.
Chris Barker left back and you centre back.
Yeah, throw me in. Why not? I'll make up the numbers. Jordan Rhodes up front when I was at Brentford. Just a great young talent. Even though I've played against kind of players that have gone on to do better in the game. Freddie Eastwood in his prime.
Yep.
I'm going to go front three. Okay. Neil Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Harris. That's my front three. So I've got a left back and I've got 3 centre midfielders. Tim Cahill, 1 centre midfielder. Stephen Reid on the right. On the left. I might push Ryan Dixon into left mid, because he was a Marauder. No, he can stay at left back, because he does a left winger and a left back job. Left winger. Do you know what? Just because he gave me so many goals, I'm going to throw Ryan Hall in there, because his left foot delivery was immense.
Yeah.
But there's probably, if I sat down at fullback, there could be more. But I'm going to throw Ryan Hall in.
Nice. And who's managing the side?
Oh, this could be tough. This is either Dennis Wise, Danny Cowley, Paul Sturrock, or Andy Scott.
Well, we'll say one, and we'll just have a coaching team.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to throw Danny Cowley in.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw Danny Cowley, because he epitomises all the points that I said that I feel is conducive to success. Honesty, a real kind of man manager. You can talk to him. He'll talk to you, and he'll try to get the best out of you and be genuine about it as well.
Yeah. Do you think? I personally think he will. Do you think he'll ever make the England set up, whether that be managing?
I hope it. I really hope so. I really
Yeah.
hope so, because he's a great guy, and obviously there's a bit of politics, and I think that's been blown out the window, where someone from a non-footballing background's coming into football, but I think that's the beauty of it. Again, come from a sporting teacher kind of, not upbringing, because he was involved in semi-professional football anyway, but he's working, and he's got that psychology that he knows, and he's actually going to be fortunate to be coming on one of my talks. So
that'd be good.
I'm going to make sure you lock into that. I'm going to make sure that we get some good questions for him, to really get some quality for the viewers. But yeah, I didn't know that people talked about England for him, but
I think that's just me.
Is it just you because you like him? Because he's a local boy as
local
well,
one, yeah.
Boy as well. Yeah, but no, he's a great guy, and I really hope the season starts again at some point, and he can do well at Huddersfield.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you talking to me. It's been great listening to your stories and your experience.
Yeah, hopefully we weren't too neggy.
Yeah,
because obviously there's been some great times.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, thank you, and I'll let everyone know about your academy, and we'll listen out for that Danny Cowley video.
Cheers, thank you, mate.
Cheers, Mark.